Welcome back inside the Daily Universe Sports Talk. My name's Caleb Tonks, and Ethan. It's good to have you back with us today after a couple weeks. How you doing?
Doing great. It's great to be back on the podcast. Excited to talk about the things that are going on with BYU sports in the recent weeks.
Yeah, and just to start us off today, we wanted to talk about some big news with BYU men's basketball. Five-star recruit Bruce Branch III commits to BYU, and it's the third five-star in 3 years for the Cougars. Ethan, what's your reaction to Bruce committing to BYU?
That's incredible. I mean, it really speaks to Kevin Young's ability to find the best of the best and to get them to come here. Bruce Branch is not native to Utah in any way. In fact, he's not even playing basketball here. He's out in Pacific in Florida. He's from Arizona, but he wants to come here. And, I've seen online lots of people saying that BYU, a place where there's the honor code, it's not really somewhere that a lot of people would want to go to because they see it as, quote unquote restrictions or whatever. Um, but I think that precedent's changing. Money talks, first of all. And also, second of all, I mean, good coaching, ability to, produce great athletes at the highest level to go on and make a lot more money and to be successful at the next level. That's very valuable. I mean, that's what made Coach K at Duke an incredible coach. It's made Bill Self at Kansas highly competitive when recruiting high school athletes. So I think it really speaks to, like I said, it speaks to Kevin Young's ability to really just be a great coach and to attract the talent that he wants.
I also watched the NBA Today where he announced his commitment, and he was just very emotional when he was
Mhm.
talking about his mom. And he's talking about his family and what BYU means to him. I mean, he hasn't even arrived on campus yet, and he just seems like he'd be a good fit with Kevin Young and BYU men's basketball.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I really think that somebody like AJ DeBonsa, as you can see pictured behind me, I'm a big fan of AJ, as you can see. But I think that he's kind of changed the notion of what it means to be at BYU. You don't have to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to come here. You don't have to be from Provo. You don't have to be from Draper or somewhere, somewhere around the BYU Salt Lake area to come to BYU. You don't have to be, an athlete from this area to be successful here. And quite frankly, like I said, they have the ability to produce great athletes, and they have the resources, they have the coaches, they have the training staff. All of all those resources are here and available. So it really speaks numbers that somebody like Bruce Branch III is choosing BYU over a place like USC. Um, and it's incredible. I mean, he was reclassified from the 2027 for graduating in 2027 to 2026 class. And, of note, he was the number one recruit in the class of 2027 before reclassifying. What do you think about that? Like, why do you think he made that decision to change classes?
I think honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it could have something to do with Kevin Young and his fit, just to be able to prepare for the NBA sooner rather than later.
Mhm.
I think that pitch that Kevin Young has to be able to prepare athletes for the NBA is very compelling. I think that might have had something to do with it because I know BYU has been in with with Bruce around the time when he decided to reclassify, and so
Yeah.
that could be a reason why he would want to come earlier.
I think it's a great point. And I think that's one of the big reasons why somebody like Jaeger Demon, or, as he's calling himself in the NBA now that he's correcting people. What did you say it was? It's Dioman, something like that. Is that right?
Yeoman, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's like
Somebody,
the Russian pronunciation of Dene. He just kind of went along with it at BYU, and then when he got to the NBA, he was like, "Yeah, it's Yegor Dioming now," and so everybody's called him Dioman.
that's so funny that he let people call him that for a year at the Y before correcting people once he got to New York. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to it, Yegor, AJ now, both of those five-star recruits coming to BYU, a place that nobody thought they would come, and now we've got Branch the third coming. What that it's incredible. It really is. It's a changing of the guard of the blue bloods. It really feels like BYU has broken into that small group. They don't have the history of championships that some of those places do, but that could change. That could very easily change over the next couple of years. Um,
Yeah.
and speaking of these, oh, did you go ahead?
One thing I was going to add is that next year I think it's going to be very important for Kevin Young to build around Bruce a little bit more
Mhm.
compared to this season. I mean, injuries kind of took a toll on BYU this season, but in the upcoming year, it's going to be super critical for them to hit in the transfer portal as well as make sure these high school recruits are acclimated well.
No, I totally agree, and I think those injuries like Richie Saunders and those guys that are hurt and out now, I really feel like those are a big reason that we saw, just a couple of days ago. I'm sure you saw this, the interview with the Deseret News with AJ. He had that one-on-one conversation, and he mentioned something, kind of a rather large bombshell. Uh, why don't we take a look at that?
Do you think you will?
Well, I might not leave.
What do you mean?
Like I might not leave college.
Why not?
I just got to return to the season.
So you haven't made up your mind that you're going to go into the draft after.
Nah, cause my mom wants me to graduate.
So he said some stuff in there, kind of dropped a bombshell, says he might come back. I don't know. That seems pretty convincing to me. I think he might be back, especially with all the injuries. What are your thoughts, Caleb?
Honestly, I think AJ is very media trained, and so him saying things like that is he's trying to stir up a reaction from the public. I really think in BYU fans. I see no way that AJ is going to be back in a BYU uniform next season, especially when you have the opportunity to go number one overall in the draft. It's like he's just trying to stir up some some engagement is really what that's all about.
That's fair enough. I mean, you're right. He's media trained. That little smirk, and you never know. He could come back though. I mean, that's a very real possibility. He mentioned his mom wants him to get a degree. So, and you can't get a degree while you're playing in the NBA. So, who
Yeah,
knows? He
it's
could be
funny
back.
because he was like, I might not, but I might go. It's kind of like, it's kind of very like, I don't know. I'm just gonna say some things and hopefully it sticks. It's just really, it just cracks me up where he's just like so like funny and wishy washy about it. But
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to disagree on that. I guess time will tell.
yeah, alrighty. So next we wanted to go into let's talk about a little bit of BYU's performance against Cincinnati and then preview their game
Mhm.
against Texas Tech on Saturday. And we still had a lot of issues defensively against Cincinnati. It was another one of those blowout losses from the Cougars. Ethan, what is happening with the defense on with BYU's defense lately? It's just been very concerning.
My take really is that AJ is an incredible athlete. He's able to drive and make shots that honestly make him look like Kevin Durant. He really is an incredible athlete. Rob Wright is also an incredible athlete. Has handles. He can make plays. The problem is Rob Wright is only 6'2", and so a lot of times when he drives to the basket, it's easier to get a block. And he's not your prolific dunker in any way. And the guy that is supposed to be the prolific dunker, Beto and Kaba, those guys, occasionally they make these awesome dunks, but they're not the offensive powerhouses that we really need down low. And they're not a real threat. So a lot of times the attention that they should be getting from our opposing or the BYU's opposing defenses is focusing on AJ, focusing on Rob Wright, double, triple teaming them. And nobody can get through a triple team, nobody can get through a quadruple team. And if the other guys on the court really aren't a threat, it's I mean, there's not really much you can do. So defensively, I really don't think Kaba and Beto have been valuable enough on that side of the ball with how horrible their defense is or their offense. That's kind of my take. I mean, what do you think? You seem to understand a little bit better some of the defensive things that are going on. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've been thinking about a little bit is on-ball defense. Whoever has the ball in their hands, and BYU's defenders on them, they're just getting driven by
Uh-huh.
at will, really. And once they get into the paint, Beto or Kaba is collapsing much harder than they should on
Mhm.
these drives because the on-ball defense has not been what it should be. And so when Beto and Kaba are collapsing down and double teaming because their teammates not defending, um,
Mhm.
they're wrapping around like against Cincinnati. Mustafa Cham had so many wide open dunks that they're just
Mhm.
passing around to their five, and then he's just dunking it, and it's very easy points. And so it starts with the on-ball defense for BYU, and that's where it's really going to make a difference if they really want to see some success in the NCAA tournament.
I think it's a really good take. Their defense has been, like you said, just absolutely horrendous. And honestly, I don't know how in the world they were able to take down a team like Iowa State. I'm wondering if that's a fluke at this point because seriously, I mean, you mentioned to me before we started that Cincinnati is the hottest team in the country right now, but Iowa State is in the top 10. They're an incredible team, and the Cougars were able to take them down, but they couldn't take down Cincinnati. So looking forward to Texas Tech, the Big 12 tournament, NCAA tournament. I don't know how well they're really going to do because Texas Tech dismantled them before, and that was before Richie got hurt.
Yeah.
I fully expect them to do it again. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think that on-ball defense is going to be the most critical piece against Texas Tech. Christian Anderson is a lottery pick in this upcoming year's draft, and
Mhm.
he has been on a heater ever since JT Toppin tore his ACL. And so
Yeah.
that defense on Christian Anderson is going to be critical. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see if BYU is up for the task against Christian Anderson. But based on what we've seen lately, it just hasn't been the case. And so,
Yeah, I have to agree. And, things look really grim for the BYU men's hoops. But kind of moving forward to our next topic here, I mean, the women's basketball team for BYU has looked phenomenal all at the right time. They're getting hot right now during the Big 12 tournament, and that's right where they need to be. They're kind of on the cusp for the NCAA tournament. I don't know, Caleb, what do you think? How many games they've already won two? How many more games do you think they need to win in order to make the NCAA tournament?
so this game against TCU this afternoon, I guess it's this Friday afternoon, is going to be critical for women's basketball to make the tournament. Right
Oh,
now,
I
they
think
don't
so.
have a quad one win as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
And I think that they were like one of the next four out um, for for the tournament. And so,
Mhm. I mean, convincing wins against 16 seed in the Big 12 Houston, and then again against number 8 seed Utah, which, mind you, that's the third time they've beat the Utes this season. All of those double-digit victories. This time, the largest margin at 18. I mean, you watched that game. What did you think about their performance?
in the third quarter, BYU outscored Utah 24-7, and they were down about I want to say 9 points at the half, and then
Mhm.
BYU just took over. Delaney Gibb has had her career high against Utah in the past two games. Um, she had 37. Her career high, I believe, was in Salt Lake, and then 36 in the previous season. But Delaney Gibb had a completely, I want to say, different role in this game. They were blitzing the ball hard when she had the ball in her hands, and she was able to find her teammates for some pretty easy baskets in this game. And so Delaney Gibb as a distributor really came alive in this game, and we saw BYU just take over there in the second half.
Yeah, and you know what? We've really seen Gibb come alive as that distributor, like you said, especially against teams like Houston, where Delaney Gibb had 15 points, Olivia Hamlin had 16, Sydney Bentley had 16. and Lara Rokel also added 15 of her own. So I mean, that was four. That was four Cougars all in double digits against Houston, and then they were able to pull away late against Utah. I'd like you said, Delaney Gibb has really turned into the distributor the women's team has needed. You we have really not seen those kind of numbers from some of those players. Occasionally, here and there, you get a big game from one of those ladies,
Mhm.
but we haven't seen those numbers from every single one of those on a consistent basis until now.
Yeah. And I think regarding that, BYU started very hot in the first quarter from three, which is
Uh-huh.
really the announcers in the game were very, very like surprised by. BYU's not a super good 3-point shooting team, but they were able to hit their looks early in that game, and it really set the tone for that first half. And then Utah kind of made a run in that second half, but then BYU very much took over and ended up winning by 18 after being down 9 points at the half, which is pretty convincing and a good win for their hopes in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, a 27-point advantage in the second half is pretty incredible. That doesn't happen every day. That is a pretty incredible second half that the ladies had. Um, it really just speaks to their ability to fight and continue to play hard. Like you said, I just wanted to mention this before we move on. Having been at many of the women's basketball games this season, it really feels like the BYU women's team, like you said, wasn't a great three-point shooting team, especially in the beginning. It felt like it took them a while to settle in before they started making threes. So the fact to start hot, that really, like I said, they're getting hot at the right time, and hopefully they can continue. I think they
Yeah.
need to beat TCU in order to make any appearance in the NCAA tournament. But if they do, I think there's a good chance with how they're playing right now that they can go far. So it'll be exciting to see what they do. Um, but
Yeah.
they're not the only ones that are entering the postseason doing very well. Let's kind of talk a little bit about BYU track and field. Both the men's and the women's team finished up Big 12 championships just this last weekend, and we're gonna see some stars headed to the national championship. Um, what are your take on the track and field performances this season?
Yeah. I think regarding this track and field, it's been very, very cool to see some of these athletes compete. I think was it the
Mhm.
4x400 where BYU came back and won in the women's 4x4, right?
That's right. Yeah, they kind of won in dramatic fashion at the Big 12 championship. Uh, some incredible athletes running for the women's team there. Um, including, you know, Jane Hedingren wasn't on the 4x4, but I just wanted to speak of her. I mean, you have to talk about Jane Hedingren if you're going to talk about women's track and field. She
I
is
agree.
what they call the generational athlete, the generational athlete. Sorry, I know it's cringy, but that's what they call her because she's a generational talent. And she's proven that this season. She broke the NCAA record in the 5K, the indoor 5K, running 14:44:79, which, by the way, is the 11th fastest in the world ever. Um, kind of incredible, and that all that as an 18-year-old true freshman. Um, just incredible. And then on top of that, she's now the number 2 NCAA record holder in the 3K indoor 3K and the number 3 in the indoor mile. Um, she's set to race in the 3K and the 5K at nationals next weekend, which is incredible. So she's won many awards this season, and I expect much more from her going forward. What is your take been on somebody like Jane?
Jane has been just incredible. I didn't really know too much about her. I mean, a couple weeks ago. But now that she's kind of burst onto the scene, I mean, she's kind of always been on the scene, I feel like, at BYU. But these last couple, just she keeps doing things that are just insane. Like I never really would have thought that somebody could run that fast, you know?
Yeah, it really is incredible. And it's interesting to see because she's not the only true freshman this season that's had a breakout performance. On the men's side, you have Tavon Kitchen, who will race in the 3K and the 5K on the men's side. Very similar looking career for him as well, as he set a top 10 NCAA record in the 3K this season, posting the fastest time by a men's true freshman ever in the NCAA for that event. So, I mean, both of those incredible athletes on the men's and the women's side. BYU track and field is just, has a really bright future. So, I mean, if you could continue to, these guys are coming back next year. If you could get AJ back, man, you could have dynamic sophomores across the board in many different sports, and the future really just looks really bright. I mean, even to mention, we're out of season for football, but true freshman Bear Bachmeyer is coming back too. So, man, you could really have an incredible returning class if you could retain AJ.
Yeah, there's a lot of stars, especially at BYU. But thanks you guys for tuning in this week. We'll make sure to recap Texas Tech upcoming next week and tell you guys about TCU women's basketball as BYU takes on the number 1 seed in the women's basketball tournament. And then also we'll preview some of the Big 12 tournament. But Ethan, it's glad to have you back with us.
Yeah, I'm glad to join in. Excited to hopefully recap a win against TCU next week. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week.